So I realized I wanted to be a nurse actually when my son was born. He was born at 33 and a half weeks, and so he only weighed 4 pounds. He was really, really little, and it was a very scary experience for us. You know, as a first-time parent, you don't really know what you're doing to begin with. But then on top of that, you know, just having the NICU team in there and, you know, he's not crying and all the hustle bustle that comes along with, you know, reviving an infant and everything. So it was very scary. But the nurses that were there to take care of us, and actually all the medical staff were just amazing. And I just thought, I want to be able to do that for somebody else, because they had us prepared for whatever outcome, and they really explained things well and not only took care of the baby but also of us. So that compassion that they showed us and that love is just something that I think I could bring to another family and put them back together when they're at their worst. In my clinical experience, I had a challenge with a patient because we went in with the purpose of sharing that the condition the patient was having was terminal and he was likely going to pass away within the near future. And that was really difficult emotionally for us, for me to stand there, not really being able to intervene, just kind of standing in the background, but also just seeing how the family, you know, took the news, how the patient took the news, and you know, them wanting their family time afterwards to kind of deal with it. And I just can't help but feel, oh my God, I just wish I could do something else for them. I would have something else to say to comfort them and make them feel better. But you kind of know that there's really nothing you can say. There's really nothing you can do to make them better. But that's where, you know, the therapeutic communication comes into play, where we just have to come back and say, I'm here if you need anything. Study by using different methods. I am definitely a visual learner. Sometimes I have to go online and watch different videos about concepts, especially cardiac was one of those things. And it just gives me an opportunity to listen and see how different people present the subject and explain it. And that usually gives me opportunity to learn more, figure out different ways to remember it during the exam. But I also like making charts and using different colors, because then during the exam I can visualize, even if I don't necessarily recall the full information, I can visualize, you know, where things were coming from and going to, and then that helps me in figuring out the right answer. I also have to talk myself through everything, so I can't just sit there and quietly read. I have to say it out loud, and that helps things stick. So CALM is the Committee of Learning, Achievement, and Mentoring. And I remember my very first class at Chamberlain, and we had the CALM team come in, introduce themselves, open up the classroom for questions. And I remember staring at them and thinking, oh my God, what am I going to ask them? But from there on out, my mentor that I had, Patricia, she was amazing. I still talk to her. I sought her out many, many times. And most of the time, it wasn't to say, tell me what's on that test, but just, I am so nervous about patho. I am so nervous about med-surg, you know, all these different classes. And she would always just say, take a deep breath. Don't listen to all the negative things that are being put out there about these classes, and just take care of yourself and start studying early. Be organized. And just these words stick in my head for every session. So when I got the opportunity to be far enough in the program and join CALM, I definitely knew that I wanted to join because Patricia had given me this the strength, the motivation to make it, as successful as I was through the nursing courses so far. And so I just wanted to be able to be there for somebody else. And I remember, though I didn't have, any questions that very first day, that I said out loud, there's so many things that you're worried about when you first come to Chamberlain. And the further you get in the program, the more questions arise. And I think it is really important at that time to have somebody that you can trust and somebody who can support you through that and somebody who can be there for you. So I wanted to do the same thing. And shortly after that, the current board was graduating, and so I was approached about taking on a board position. And I had never before thought about being president of a student organization, but I thought it was a great opportunity. I like helping people out. I like being there to answer questions or finding answers when I don't know the answer to a question. And I think that we've been able to help out a lot of the new students just settle their peace of mind rather than going on Facebook and maybe reading a piece of information that's not necessarily applicable or not necessarily the whole truth about the school. So I always think it takes time to find what you're here for and what your special quality is, I guess we could call it. Well, community is pretty easy. I think that as future nurses, the community is our playground. That's where we're going to go and work. Community is where we're going to be doing our jobs and where we're going to have the most influence. Appreciation, there's a lot to appreciate about this school. The fact that we are giving the opportunity to do a fast track program, that we are able to go to different clinical sites. Yes, sometimes we have to drive very far, but again, we get to experience all these different sites and have such a bigger, nicely rounded education on how do people do their jobs, and again, take all the positive out of what we're seeing, leave the negative behind, and that's how we become better at our jobs. Relevance. I don't think in my whole time at Chamberlain I've had a teacher that has not brought some kind of scenario or personal experience into there. I like that the teachers tend to get very raw and honest about when they made a mistake. That's what makes them more human to us, and kind of reminds us that we're all taking this journey together, and they're here to support us. And I think that makes it very important because it's going to make us more successful if we feel that they have been here, they have been in our shoes, and they want us to be successful. Empathy. There can't be nursing without empathy. I think empathy is a big part of nursing. Just having come from a foreign country and having to build a life here, from learning how to communicate with everybody, learning the culture, the life, how to drive, how to interact with people, was very, very difficult. But it's given me an opportunity to also look at how other cultures live and what their day-to-day life consists of. And so it has been a lot about adapting to that so that I can fit in. But also, when it comes to nursing, like I said earlier, it's not all black and white. I have to respect that other cultures, other families might do things differently than what I do, and then what I am used to. So to me, it's all about being acceptant of those differences and being able to work with that, and just, you know, sometimes we might not understand it, but just because it is different doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It's just simply different. I think the success comes in working with your peers and working with the teachers and giving everything towards this program and sticking with the reason that you're here, the reason that you wanted to enter this program to begin with, and what is driving you to graduate. And we make this experience all it can be. That's how we're going to find our greatest success. My name's Karina, and I will be an extraordinary Chamberlain nurse. Will you?